Okay, so
Alright.
let us explain the things that were wrong with this case.
It was really long! For no reason!
Okay, so let's explain that a little better. So, yes, it was long, but usually that's not a bad...
Really,
Well, usually it's just...
long.
Bleh. When usually saying something's really long doesn't mean that that's bad. We're not saying that a long case is a bad case. We're just saying that...
It's a bad case if its length is essentially filler or stuff which has nothing to do with the case.
Yeah, I mean, there was too much text. And it's not like we're lazy people who can't read or anything like that. It's just that there was way too much text. Most of it had nothing to do with the case at all.
Did you say there may be like 1,000 frames or maybe less that were actually relevant?
I could say that, yeah, because, I mean, some people were important, like with Shadow.
Yeah,
Shadow
I like Shadow, if only because he actually told us stuff about the crime.
Yeah, but, Guinness didn't really tell us that much.
He is probably important, but doesn't really act like a politician. I mean, a politician who gets offended every time anyone refers
to them as a female. I mean, it was a cool kind of
concept,
like
maybe
tick,
for a different
but
character.
But at the same time, meeting her does not fill in us with any new information. Same thing with
we learned a little bit from the professor.
A little bit, but not really that much.
Tiny bit.
We didn't learn
the fact that he pulled Raymond Hope out of the burning area did explain a minor plot hole, which was how Hope could be unconscious next to a fire and not be injured.
Yeah.
We still don't really get how he passed out due to smoke inhalation in an open courtyard. Or I assume the courtyard's like square-ish, and all the doors to that were locked. But
even still,
there's this big open spot.
Also, how did he live? How did the person live for an hour if he's on fire and has a stab wound in the eye?
Yes, and based on our icicle theory, it was like still there. In fact, I would think.
We need to explain our theory because I guess I'm going to be putting this part first. Basically, when we saw the icicle, we stabbed
in the eye with the icicle,
and then it melted due to the fire, and that's why we couldn't find the murder.
And that's where the murder weapon went.
We don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it was explained in the second testimony, but we can't really play that. I'm pretty sure
about that one, actually, especially because way earlier in the thread I mentioned that you could totally stab someone with an icicle.
So basically the main problem with this, it's way too wordy. Most of the words have nothing to do with the case. And while that's fine in small quantities, it doesn't work when 90% of your time... 90% of your trial, of your whole case, is random talking about something we don't care about in the slightest. Maybe we would care about it more if we actually did the case that this is based off of, kind of.
Like the Hunter Truff.
Yeah, maybe we would care about it then, but I don't know these characters. I don't care about these characters.
I don't care that every single person is adopted and has siblings.
Okay, that was just something weird, one of the weird things that we realized. But, yeah, you really need to cut the length out, because
if you can say something in one frame of dialogue, don't say it in 3
or
over
5
and over and
or
over
10
again.
Yes, basically, see this right here, this finger, this is the finger that I use to click repeatedly on my trackpad.
If you notice, it's falling off.
It hurts. It actually hurts right now. Because we had to speed run through everything.
And how much did we record yesterday?
I don't know. I'll put an annotation.
We had like an hour and 40 minutes or something yesterday. Plus we have an hour finishing that investigation. Plus we have half an hour on the
trial.
One crossing, like with the court thing. It took us 15 minutes to get to the first testimony.
No, it didn't. It took us 12 minutes.
Well,
I looked. It was like 11:50.
8 minutes to get out of the defendant lobby?
No, I think it took us 12 minutes to get out of the defendant lobby.
And then it took us a while to get through to get to Portman's opening statement.
And speaking
I did kind of like the thing with Truffin, like, get in the game or whatever. That was kind of interesting, but weird.
But okay, so there was just it was wordy. Like, I'm trying to remember specific parts about the trial, and all I can remember is wordiness, and that's all I can remember because we didn't have a ton of time. There were other trials we had to do,
basically
and
keyword recognition.
Yeah, we had to fit this in small time frames. There's your mom. So,
I guess let's say for
we'll just hold on and we can get her. So, slight pause.
All right, rest your brain. We're like sitting on it.
Okay, so back to this. So we don't have a lot of time. So let's run through this stuff really quickly.
Wordy.
Oh, no, I mean like the characterization, whatever.
Story.
I mean,
okay.
It was okay, I guess. The murder was slightly interesting.
From what I could tell of what was actually going on, which was limited, it seems like a reasonable story. Like, you've got this rally, I guess, although no one was acting like they were at a political rally.
Yeah,
the
everybody got
politician it was for it doesn't act like a politician, and somehow his opponent was also there, despite the fact that you stated that the rally was there in order to steal votes from him.
Anyway, we have to keep on going because we have like 10 minutes.
Originality.
Originality, I guess it was kind of...
Is that a word? Never mind.
Yes, it is. Originality is a word. But was it original?
It was pretty original.
Yeah,
I guess.
I guess. I mean, I think that the most original and cool part of it was the whole... Well, it may not even be true, but our idea that
our theory with the icicle?
The icicle being the murder weapon, sticking in the eye and then melting or something.
Yeah, and I guess just sort of the puzzle of like... I'm going to assume someone saw the victim with what appeared to be the defendant, and the defendant was with who he thought was the victim. So that's an interesting puzzle.
Yep.
If someone would point that out.
Yep. Next one.
Theme relevance.
Theme relevance.
I mean, these out of order.
Whatever. Who cares if they're out of order? It was okay.
Fire. The victim was set on fire.
Yay.
Like everyone else.
Yep.
The
Everybody
icicle
was
thing.
Icicle thing.
Assuming our theory is correct, that's good.
Just,
otherwise,
it just didn't come up a lot, which was basically a problem with the text. But yeah, it was alright. It just didn't really.
I guess a lot less than say like Elements and of course Freeze Flame, which were very big on it. Okay.
You really like that show. Anyway.
Well, you will admit Freeze Flame had a lot of...
It did have... I think out of all of them, Freeze Flame did have the best theme relevance.
Yeah, but Turnabout Inferno, this had the second smallest fire of all of them.
Yeah.
I think only Wacky Man's had a smaller fire because that was just a... whatever. Characterization.
We don't know because it was...
We don't know how they were in character in terms of showing the characters... Yeah. You did it through wall of text.
Which we mostly had to skim through because we were unable. It was a matter of time, but it was also a matter of just not being interesting. Yeah, I did not care that this person went out with Titania and they got drunk and had tons of alcohol. I do not care.
For the Ace Attorney series, I don't think you're...
Wow, I sounded really mean. Sorry, guys. But the case is...
It was irrelevant.
The case is fine and everything. It's just really, really wordy.
My head's sore.
Yeah. Actually, yesterday I mentioned this. I had a headache at the end of our recording because I was reading it so fast.
We were like halfway done through the investigation.
We were like 2/3 or something.
Also with backstories, I guess if the protagonist is adopted, his... mom and presumably dad were murdered. That's a sad backstory, and it's not. I guess that can serve guests to care for the character, but not if every single other character is also adopted.
Okay, that's pushing it. There were only 2 people who were adopted, and then 2 other people who were like the.
Yes, so of our
like that.
11 profiles, 4 of them were part of
whatever.
Okay, that leaves presentation. It was good
Text.
presentation,
Good presentation,
until
except
wall of text.
giant, which happened constantly, over and over and over and over and over again.
And the characters will say the same thing repeatedly, and we won't make any progress. And
it was.
I almost feel like they're not talking like actual people.
Yeah, and in a way, it's almost like the people who made this were just wanting to make a really long case. They were trying to get frames just for frames'
some of
sake.
this it does feel like
that may not be the case. It's just that there was a lot of text. I mean, we're not.
It feels like there's filler and stalling.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying that it's a bad case. It's just that there was so much text and everything
and
that we didn't have time to really even absorb what was really happening, because there was so much text that was like subplot and that we didn't really care too much about. Or at least I didn't. Is that the same with you?
Pretty much. None of these backstories seem incredibly relevant. I noticed that it took us until an optional present in the trial to learn that the two Guinnesses are siblings, which we deduced a long time ago, but that seems kind of relevant, since it would give the other Guinness, who no one was able to find, a motive to frame the defendant. So why not? And
so basically, long story short, it was all right. Way too much text, couldn't really absorb anything. If you cut down on the text, then it would be a lot. Then it would be good. Though you do get bonus points for having Persona 3 and 4 music, because those games are really awesome.
And you did make a lot of AAO references, and you had Portsman, although
Portsman, in terms of his character and how you brought him forth. At the same time, Portsman. The first time we talked to him, I really liked it for the first half, and then the text
keeps going on and on and on. And we're like, yes, we know you're evil, and killed a cop.
And also, creepiest thing ever. Why did you include the thing where it's like, I am Portsman, I shot Buddy Faith, and then reached inside and with the bullet and rubbed the bullet inside the wound? It was just.
And then I framed another officer of the law, but I'm still technically a good guy. So I guess that's our final grading, and we're gonna have to end it here.
Okay.
It's good, but not incredibly theme relevant, and it was boring at times.
It was boring at times, and there was too much text to absorb. So maybe So
I love Tracer, if only because he helped with the case.